Lucy Mack Smith, 5. Typhoid Fever and Miracles, Part 2. Sophronia almost died, and Joseph went through a major operation directed by Dr. Nathan Smith. He was the only doctor at the time in the whole world who knew how to perform this needed operation, and he lived in the area. Joseph had a special mission to perform on this earth, and the adversary certainly did not want him to grow to maturity. But the Lord intervened and performed a miracle. Through what Joseph endured, we can clearly see young Joseph's noble character, his courage, his love for the Lord, and his love for his mother and father. Let's hear Joseph's mother, Lucy, tell the conclusion of this courageous story.
After 3 weeks, we sent for the doctor. He made an incision of 8 inches in the front of Joseph's leg, between the knee and the ankle. This relieved most of the pain, and Joseph was quite comfortable until the wound began to heal. Then the pain became as violent as ever, and the doctor was called again. This time, he enlarged the wound, cutting the leg to the bone. But as soon as the wound began to heal, his leg began to swell again, and the swelling continued to increase. We decided to call a council of doctors to consult on Joseph's condition. After consulting, the doctors came to our home to tell us of their decision, and counseling with them in another room so that Joseph could not hear the conversation, I asked them what they planned to do about my son's leg. They answered that they couldn't do anything, because after cutting it open to the bone, they found the bone to be so infected that they considered his leg incurable, and that amputation was absolutely necessary to save Joseph's life. These words came to me like a thunderbolt. I asked the principal doctor to try again, and this time cut around the bone and take out the diseased part to see if the leg would heal, in order that his leg might be saved. I said, "You must not take off his leg until you try once more. I will not consent to let you enter Joseph's room until you make me this promise." After consulting a short time with each other, the doctors had agreed to do as I had requested. Then we went in to see my suffering son. One of the doctors, on approaching Joseph's bed, said, "My poor boy, we have come again." "Yes," said Joseph, "I see you have. But you have not come to take off my leg, have you, sir?" "No," replied the doctor. "It is your mother's request that we make one more effort, and that is what we have come for." My husband, who was constantly with Joseph, saw in an instant my intense anxiety written all over my face, and turning his eyes into his son Joseph, he burst into a flood of tears and sobbed like a child. The principal doctor ordered cords to be brought to bind Joseph to the bedstead, but to this Joseph objected. The doctor, however, insisted that he must be confined, upon which Joseph said very decidedly, "No, doctor, I will not be bound, for I can bear the operation much better if I have my freedom." Then said Dr. Stone, "Will you drink some brandy?" "No," said Joseph, "not one drop." "Will you take some wine?" "You must take something, or you can't endure the severe operation you must go through." Again Joseph answered, "No, I will not take one particle of liquor. Neither will I be tied down, but I tell you what I will do. I will have my father sit on the bed and hold me in his arms, and then I will do whatever is necessary in order to have the bone taken out." Joseph looked at me and said, "Mother, I want you to leave the room, for I know that you cannot bear to see me suffer so. Father can stand it, but you have carried me so much and watched over me so long, you are almost worn out." Then looking into my face, his eyes swimming in tears, he continued, Now, Mother, promise me that you will not stay. The Lord will help me, and I shall get through it. I told Joseph I would leave, and after getting a number of folded sheets and laying them under his leg, I left the house, and I went several hundred yards to be out of hearing. The doctors began operating by boring into the bone in his leg, first on one side of the bone where it was infected, and then on the other side. They broke it off in pieces with a pair of forceps. When they broke off the first piece, Joseph screamed so loudly that I could not stop from running to him. As I entered his room, he cried out, "Oh, Mother, go back, go back. I do not want you to come in. I will try to tough it out if you will go away." When the third piece was taken away, I burst into the room again. Oh, what a scene for a mother's eye to behold! The wound was torn open, the blood was still gushing from it, and the bed was literally covered with blood. Joseph was as pale as death, and large drops of sweat were rolling down his face, and his every feature showed the utmost agony. I was immediately forced from the room, and I was not allowed in the room again until the operation was completed. When it was finished and Joseph was put on a clean bed and the room was cleared of every appearance of blood and all the instruments that were used were removed, I was allowed again to enter. Joseph immediately began to get better, and from this time forward he continued to heal until he became healthy and strong. When he felt better and he felt well enough to travel, Joseph went to stay with his uncle Jesse, who lived in Salem, near the ocean, and here the sea breezes helped him to recover. Having passed through a year of sickness and distress, health again returned to our family. We truly realized our blessings and felt to acknowledge the hand of God in preserving our lives through the tremendous afflictions we had passed through. We knew that the Lord had been with us all along the way.
Joseph had osteomyelitis, which is a bacterial infection within the bone and the bone marrow of his left leg and ankle. Present at the operation were Dr. Nathan Smith, Dr. Cyrus Perkins, and Dr. Stone, and medical students, making a total of 11 doctors that came from Dartmouth Medical College. The standard operation at the time was amputation. The procedure of Dr. Nathan Smith's of cutting out the dead bone was not done anywhere in the world at this time. This method of surgery did not catch on until 1874, did not become standard practice until World War I, over 100 years after Joseph's operation. Dr. Nathan Smith was a generation ahead of his time. After Joseph's operation, 14 pieces of bone worked themselves out of the incision as it was healing. Joseph walked on crutches for 3 years and walked with a slight limp all of his life. He began walking without crutches when the family started on their trip to Palmyra, New York. This is taken from Joseph Smith Papers, page 268, Deseret News, Joseph Smith's Doc, Only Man Who Could Save His Leg, July 12, 2008.